Be able to express itself in a positive way in terms of things other than crisis and need sometimes. There's something the kids and the community of the whole has to celebrate together, and in that way we just feel that it has a tremendous need and that it should stand out as a priority.
Welcome everyone. If you're looking for the virtual fest, all the best, you found us. And we're really excited that people are joining us in so many different ways on what would have been the 40th year of the Greater Chicago Jewish Festival. We'll build community this way today. It's not what we're used to, but it is something that is still important in terms of coming together. And actually, it gives us a different opportunity to share the festival with everyone. People from around the world are checking in, and it gives us a chance to share 40 years of the festival. So we've gone back into the archives. We found videotape of the early festivals, and we've also arranged for some live moments with some of the finest musicians in the Jewish community today. And finally, we have some interviews that will give you an inside glimpse on how the festival evolved and how we make it happen each year or every 2 years. So we're proud to be with you. We appreciate that you're with us. That little clip you saw a few moments ago was of 1983 of a fellow you might have recognized that looked like me. But the festival began in 1980, and we want to reflect on that for a moment.
What was true about our mission statement back in 1980 is still true today.
We really focused on building community, to pull together the diverse part of the Jewish community to be a whole and to share and to be tolerant of each other for a whole day, regardless of our points of view or our expression of religion. And in that same context, we've created a steering committee from that very first year in 1980 that represents the diversity and the complexity of our Jewish community. And we really take a moment to salute all of those who are sharing today, who've worked on the festival as steering committee members, as musicians, as volunteers, and as just all around boosters. We can't tell you how often we think about the festival family. And this actually gives us a chance to say thank you. And you're going to see their names all at the end of our event today. In addition to the complexities of the festival, sharing a sense of tolerance and togetherness, we also recognize that the festival is an opportunity for expressions of Jewish culture and to share those expressions of Jewish culture with the whole world, the whole community. We want to have an opportunity to come together, not just in times of crisis or times of need, but to build an authentic American Jewish identity through our culture, through our music.
Because of COVID, we had to cancel the festival this year, but we're thinking of all of you as we all learn to cope with the difficulties of this pandemic. And we hope this will bring some healing and healing songs and healing words to all of you as we struggle through these difficult times.
And at the same time, we know we have to put this day in context in terms of the despair and the suffering that we are all facing in terms of the life of our American society. We all recognize there is much to do, much to redress, much to repair. And we really firmly believe that by taking this day together and connecting our community through song and through other experiences, that we will remind ourselves of our commitment to fight for justice, to identify prejudice, whether it's within ourselves or our community or the greater society we live in, and bring ourselves back to the front lines of the work that must be done to address and redress what is unfortunately its own type of virus within our society. And we are certain that you join together with us in a commitment going forward to be out there and to be outspoken and to teach and use our teachings to make our society a better place to live.
We need to remember, Ani ve'ata nishana et ha'olam. You and I will change the world.
And so we turn to begin some of the music of this festival to Debbie Friedman of blessed memory. Debbie was there from the first festival, and her words guided us as the festival grew, and she came back almost every year to build a sense of community around the festival. I just recall as we turn to her music, that very first festival, we were going to be an outdoor park right along the lake shore, and it began to rain, and it rained and rained, and we ran around trying to reorganize and get ourselves into the Jewish Community Center for what we thought was going to be an indoor festival. We were so busy trying to sort it all out, we even forgot to put up a sign to tell people who were coming where we had moved to. In spite of that, still thousands of people came, the streets were clogged with cars, and the building was filled with people. And it was hard to get our planned agenda and music in order. And so Debbie took the stage, and she sang and sang and sang for nearly the full 5-6 hours. And that really was the beginning of the heart and soul of the festival. And so let's give a listen.
Hallelujah.
moments like that with Debbie Friedman were always monumental and created the community at the moment that we all kind of remember in our heads from time to time. One of those who was with with Debbie from the very beginning was Judy Director, who knew Debbie in the early years and performed with her. Judy, tell us a little bit about what you remember of those early years with Debbie and some of the music that you were involved with.
Okay, first of all, wonderful to see you both, and thank you for hosting this. It's nice to feel a virtual community is still a community, so I appreciate you. Debbie and I met in the early 70s. We were both song leaders, and right away felt a musical connection. She had some new songs she wanted to share, and we brought them back and forth. I was able to flesh out some ideas and vice versa. And we ended up living next door to each other after the summer season. So a lot of ideas flowed literally from door to door. And I worked on the second album with her, which was the Not by Might album. And I remember driving all night to get to St. Paul to managed to get in about an hour's worth of sleep, and then we hit the studio first thing in the morning, and we knocked it out in about a day or two. And to give Debbie time to finish up her vocals, I drove back the 8 hours. So it was a wonderful experience. It was a really wonderful studio. The environment was great. The engineers were really wonderful to deal with, and all of us were kind of newbies in the studio, so it was a good learning experience for us.
What about you? What about Debbie's energy? What about the way she engaged in both her music and how she approached audiences?
She had a lot of energy, and the energy and the charisma that she brought to the music she wrote. And I think at the time, and even today, that music was so necessary to come to our community. We, with due respect to all those musics that came before us, we needed to refresh things a little bit. And she brought a contemporary, popular sound that was easily accessible, and she had the ability to make you want to sing for her, to work for her. And it was, she was contagious, let me put it that way. So a lot of the energy she brought to her ideas, that energy bled into all of us. We co-directed a choir for several years. And I think about it today, and I've spoken with a couple of those choir members, and there were kids that came from every corner of the city. And we met in Hyde Park every week. And these crazy parents trusted these two young 20-somethings with their kids. And we worked with them and had a fantastic experience. We worked with the Chicago Moving Company, a wonderful dance company, who put Debbie's music into beautiful choreography that all kind of meshed together and really kind of helped to bring that Jewish experience closer into everybody's lives. And
we all shared that over the years at the festival, over and over again. It was something to see. We actually have Mark Gershon as well, and Mark gives us a chance to give a little quick insight to the other part of the festival. Aside from the music that makes everything come alive and the dance and the performances, Mark can give us a quick overview of what happens on the day of the festival. I have to tell you right now, if we were outside we would be wrapping up trying to figure out how we're going to load out. But you guys, I think everyone experiences the festival as a finished product. Mark, give us an idea of what goes into bringing us to that day.
Michael, Susie, great to see both of you. And what's really exciting about it is that it happens months and months before then with a large group of people who plan the whole thing. But on the week of, we always assume it's just on Friday, and then somehow we never work on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. And on Friday, we bring a group out that sets up 80 tents and 3 stages and sound and electricity and everything that turns this field in a forest preserve into a massive festival. And as you said, right about now, on what's, not too bad a day for a festival, we'd be pulling all of that down or getting ready to pull it all down. But it's also really fun that, to me, it's a community that does it, and it's also family. That starts, honestly, with the two of you, who are my former camp director and song leader. It goes to the fact that my parents came in to barbecue on the Friday before the fest and flew in every year for the festival. My kids have been involved. My brother helps to run electric. Everyone down the line is part of it. And I'm not saying it's me, because I think everyone who's been involved in the festival all these years could say the same thing. I think all of us who think we're still 20 really love looking at the new people who are in.
We basically indenture people into lifelong commitments to the festival.
And their families.
And their families, children, my wife who married into the festival. It's all, it's all a part of that. And honestly, it's one of the most fun things I think we all do every year. Those of us who work on this, a couple hundred people, we think of them as fest years. And I often have people ask me, why don't you do a fest every year? And my usual answer is because we'd like to keep our jobs. But, it's just something we all love.
So let's turn to some more music. We have an incredible opportunity to hear Peter Yarrow from the years in the past, and then a chance to hear him right with us today.
We think of them as fest years. And I often have people ask me, why don't you do a fest every year? And my usual answer is,
identity of this dragon. It was a very popular song in Israel. They knew without any question that, and Puff at least had a Jewish soul, if not a Jewish body. Well, I gotta tell you, his scales, his body, his soul, very Jewish, because I guess the sadness we feel with the loss of hope that you feel momentarily until that last chorus comes in Puff. That's against that imperative of Judaism, the imperative of having hope. Even in the darkest days of Anne Frank's life, she said, in spite of everything, I still believe in the goodness of human beings. Well, as children, we believe in dragons, but as adults, we have our idealism and we have our ethic. And that's why Puff is a Jewish dragon. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Hanali. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought in strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Here we go now. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Hanali. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Hanali. Together they would travel, together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail. Jackie kept a lookout, perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Woo! Puff the magic dragon lived by the and frolicked in the autumn in a land of Puff the magic dragon, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper, little Jackie Paper, loved that rascal Puff, and brought in the strings and sealing the wax and other things, make sure the kids could be heard. Puff the magic drag, bring up the kids, live by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Yarrow. Well, together they would travel on a boat with billows sail. Jackie kept a lookout, perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff poured out his name. Everybody sing Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lives by the sea and frolicked in the autumn magic.
So that was a great moment from past festivals, and we are more than honored and excited that Peter Yarrow has taken time to join us today live. Peter, that great discovery that Puff was actually a Jewish dragon was a very special moment. But kidding aside, it reminds us of two things: that Jewish music is really intertwined with social justice, and that the idea of hope and not being the feeling of hopelessness is so important today. Tell us a little bit about where you see music taking us and rededicating ourselves.
Oh, my friends, good to see you, and good to see you, Michael, and to be with you. And those are memories that are powerful and very beautiful. And to see those kids, and to see me with a different color hair and a different amount of hair was joyous. What is incumbent upon us now to consider is the fact that we are living in a prophetic time when music can bring us together to acknowledge our humanity and our Jewishness in a very, very important way. This year, just 4 years ago, this year just 4 months ago, on February 10th, I was invited to precede the opening of the Atlanta Jewish Festival, Film Festival, which is huge. It's 40,000 people that come there, and it's one of the largest in the world. And it started with a performance at a 2,700-seat auditorium for the screening of a film that was called Shared Legacies, the African American Jewish Civil Rights Alliance. And it recalled the time, and I was interviewed for this, when we as Jews were such an integral, powerful part of the civil rights movement. And Joachim Prinz spoke directly before Martin Luther King, his extraordinary speech, and at that time he said, the greatest injury will be done to silence, is not to speak out. And today, surrounded by what we are, I want to invoke that history and remember that power that we had together. That was, we used to celebrate with Theo Bickel and myself and Judy Collins and Allard Lowenstein way back then. For those of you that remember, we'd have a Seder. And what would we talk about? We would talk about the Jewish experience and how it related to the civil rights movement. And today, looking at the challenge that we are facing, it is incumbent upon us to remember this and to delve into it. So what I'd like to sing a bit to acknowledge that we as Jews today have a great legacy is one of the songs that Peter, Paul, and Mary sang at that gathering in 1963. And the whole 250,000 people knew that song. And we introduced Bob Dylan to them. It was called Blowing in the Wind. And when we came to that second verse where it said, how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Remember, at that time, if you were a person of color, you could not use a public bathroom or water fountain in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, unless it had a sign that said for colored only. We've come a long way, my friends. But the reality is that today we are called upon to celebrate this capacity once again. The Civil Rights Acts were signed at the RAC, the Religious Action Center of the Reformed Jewish tradition. Let us reconnect, recommit. The film that I was singing there at the film festival called Shared Legacies, the African American Jewish Civil Rights Experience. Before it, I sang this song, Blowing in the Wind. We're
ready to sing along with you too. We're really ready.
10 members of the of Tabel Ebenezer, the Ebenezer Baptist Church, and the Temple. So let's do it again. Sing with me. How many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? Now sing the answer. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Naomi, I see you singing along. The answer, my friend, thank you, Denise, is blowing in the wind. Michael, the answer is blowing in the wind. And here's that very powerful verse. How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed? Before it is washed to the sea. And here we are, that message. How many years can some people exist before we're allowed to be free? We're allowed to be free. How many times can a man turn his head? How many times can a man turn his head? Naomi, well said. And pretend that He just doesn't see. Everybody together now. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. I can see the Lorges and Denise, Emlich and Naomi Bayer singing with me. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? How many ears must one man have? How many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? We know our own history. How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. I'm with you, my friend. We are together.
Thank you, Peter, so much. That is the clarion call that we all need to rededicate ourselves to. We appreciate it. We'll turn to a little more of videotape from some past festivals, some great moments, and we'll be back to you then.
With you, my friend. We are together.
Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena, v'lo ata ben chorin, v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena, v'lo ata ben chorin. Hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor. Sing if you know this. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena, v'lo ata ben chorin, v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena, v'lo ata ben chorin. Mike Heimlich, Don Jacobs, thank you very much.
please welcome our friends Eclectricity.
1, 2, 3.
Those are memorable moments. There are a lot more coming. And what we always think about is the tremendous number of wonderful performers who've come across our stages over the years. Two individuals who can give us a lot of insight into that are Denise Heimlich and Naomi Baer, both of whom have been part of the musical selections over the years and really chaired the entertainment committee.
I have run stages with both Denise and Naomi. I've been on the entertainment committee with them. And I want to ask you, what performances or memorable moments stand out to both of you?
Well, you know, entertainment at the festival, it's always been a real diverse compilation of music, dance, storytelling, with the emphasis on music, and local international choirs, Klezmer jazz blues from folk Israeli performers like Peter Yarrow. And some of those memorable performances have been the people we've brought in, David Broza, who we'll be hearing later today, Peter, Debbie Friedman, but some of them have also been the local performers who we've showcased, including a clip from many, many years ago of a group called Call Sassone that I know is you had some part in, Susie. And all of that together has really made up the fabric of what brings us to the festival.
And Denise, I think one of the things about music at the festival is you don't have to be in front of the stage. It really does more than that.
Absolutely. Our plan from the beginning was that the music would just echo through every part of the festival. So you could absolutely go to one of the stages and find a place to sit and give your full attention to the performers. But at the same time, you could go grab a hot dog or a falafel at the food fair, or wander through the art fair and purchase a piece of Judaica, or stroll through the organizations. There were more than 100, and grab literature and learn about them. And the music was always in the background and part of those experiences as well. As soon as you entered the festival grounds, you were just surrounded by music and Jewish culture everywhere.
So we should turn back to a little more music then. Great to see you guys and to share a little bit of that history that makes the festival what it is and what it'll be next year when we're all back together.
Thanks so much,
Can't
Michael
wait
and Susie.
Thank you.
Can't wait.
As soon as you entered the festival grounds.
What's it like to perform in front of kids? How do you do it? It takes something special.
Yeah, well, kids have their own kind of energy, and you have to, the material has to be right. If the material's wrong, you go down the drain, it doesn't matter. Boom, the energy goes out of them like a balloon. But if the energy's right, and the story's right, and their energy's there, it's just real easy. They're a real appreciative audience.
So we're really very proud that the Greater Chicago Jewish Festival is the longest running Jewish festival in the United States. and the largest Jewish event, cultural event in the Chicagoland area. Part of it, we believe, is that it's such a multifaceted event, that there's music, and of course, we'll talk later about the food and the organizations, but what we put on stage is dynamic. And it includes not just performers who sing, but some wonderful moments of storytelling and puppeteer. And there's no one better to relate some of that to us than Marilyn Price, who is really a master storyteller and a great puppeteer, and has been with us also since the beginning. Marilyn, tell us a little bit about how storytelling really is a part of the fabric of Jewish culture and entertainment.
Well, it's the very first thing we did was tell our stories, sitting around the fire and how was your day? And that was a story. And it still works that way. And hopefully will continue forever. Kids tell us stories, adults tell us stories. I've heard you guys tell stories as well. So it has been since the very beginning. In 40 years ago, when it rained and we all ran to the JCC, my then partner Susan Marcus and I ended up on a stage telling a story, and we literally could not get out for 2 hours. And then we moved on, and we were, I remember quite clearly, a breezy day on the grounds of Northwestern, I do believe, where a puppet, actually I've made another one since, but this dude was telling a story called It Could Be Worse, literally flew out of my hands and it flew across Lake Michigan and undoubtedly landed on the other side. So stories have always been there. And songs, as you know, are stories put to music, and vice versa. And sometimes we get to do it all. Some of my best friends, including my dear friend Sid, a blessed and very blessed memory, was there up on stage, and a whole cast of others. And you have always, always included all of us in our stories. So it could, the dog was in a story called It Could Be Worse, but I don't think it could get any better than the Chicago Festival. So I thank you from the bottom of my puppeteer, storytelling, educator heart for pulling us all together and giving us today the best hug we could possibly have.
Thank you. And what you point out, though, is really so true, that it takes everybody working on the festival to make it such a broad experience, and the complexity of what we try to share with everyone. And you're an important part. It gives us a chance then to turn back to some music. In particular, we're going to show you a little bit of some great Jewish melodies, and also turn to another wonderful performer who we've lost over the years, Fred Holstein, and of course then Theodore Bickel. And as a backdrop to some of Theodore Bickel's music, we're going to show you some of the other performers and some of the Jewish art that has come through the festival over the years.
Chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum, chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum. Chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bum, chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bim bum bum. Chitty bim, sing along, chitty bim bum bim bum bum, chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum. Chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bum, chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bim bum bum. Als ik wil zingen, lechel doirie, zult u zingen, chitty bitty bum. Als ik wil zingen, lechel doirie, zult u zingen, chitty bitty bum. Lechel doirie, chitty bitty bum, likras kalo, chitty bitty bum. Lechel doirie, likras kalo, chitty bitty 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 bum. Chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum, chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum. Chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bum, chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bim bum bum.
Als ik wil zingen, likras scalo, zo weer zingen, chitty bitty bum. Als ik wil zingen, likras scalo, zo weer zingen, chitty bitty bum. Likras scalo, chitty bitty bum, leho doiri, chitty bitty bum. Likras scalo, leho doiri, chitty bitty 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 bum.
Chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum. Chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum. Chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bum. Chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bim bum bum. Chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum. Chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum bim bum bum. Chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bum. Chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty 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 chitty bitty bim bum bum.
בין חומות העיר לך ירושלים אור חדש יאיר בליבנו רק שיר אחד קיים לך ירושלים בין ירדן בים בליבנו רק שיר אחד קיים לך ירושלים בין ירדן בים לך ירושלים נוף קדומים בהוד לך ירושלים לך רזים בסוד בליבנו רק שיר אחד קיים לך ירושלים בין ירדן בים בליבנו רק שיר אחד קיים לך ירושלים בין ירדן בים לך ירושלים שיר נישא תמיד לך ירושלים עיר מגדל דוד בליבנו רק שיר אחד קיים לך ירושלים בין ירדן בים בליבנו רק שיר אחד קיים לך ירושלים בין ירדן בים בין ירדן בים בין ירדן בים
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. A Monday gave me the gift of love. A Tuesday peace came from above. A Wednesday told me to have more faith. Thursday gave me a little more grace. Friday told me to watch and pray. Saturday told me just what to say. Sunday gave me the power divine to let my little light shine. Here we go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. You know the light that shines is a light of love. Lights the darkness from above. Shines for me, shines for you. Shows you what the power of love can do. Shine my light both far and near. Shine my light both bright and clear. Every dark corner that I find, I gotta let my little light shine. There's a little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. There's a little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. There's a little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you very much. Peace.
When the rabbi sings, we sing with him. When he dances, we dance with him. When he's quiet, we're quiet. When he's asleep, you get the idea. It's not a very deeply philosophical text. der Rebbe singt, und als der Rebbe singt, singen alle Chassidim, singen alle Chassidim, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, singen alle Chassidim, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, singen alle Chassidim. Und als der Rebbe tanzt, und als der Rebbe tanzt, tanzen alle Chassidim, tanzen alle Chassidim, hopp, 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 tanzen alle Chassidim, hopp, 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 tanzen alle Chassidim. Und als der Rebbe schweigt, und als der Rebbe schweigt, schweigen alle Chassidim, schweigen alle Chassidim. Schweigen alle Chassidim. Schweigen alle Chassidim. Und als der Rebbe schläft, und als der Rebbe schläft, schlafen alle Chassidim, schlafen alle Chassidim. Ich gewollt, mir geht noch schlafen werden, kann ich mir schon schlafen mit alle Chassidim. Oh, und als der Rebbe lacht, und als der Rebbe lacht, lachen alle Chassidim, lachen alle Chassidim. Lachen alle Chassidim.
Those were all wonderful moments on the stages of the festival. And Theodore Bickel, when he was with us, boy, he just enveloped the whole place, as you can hear from that rendition. We shifted to his audio and used the video as an opportunity to also begin to explore the wonderful art fair that we've had since the very, very beginning at the festival. Very beginning. 100 artists sometimes at each art fair. And two of the people who've had a major role with that are Karen and Paul Schur. And we thought we'd take a minute to explore the art fair and why it's an important component of the festival. Karen, Paul?
Hi, thank you, Michael. So we've been involved with the festival for about 15 years. And I would say we have at least 60 artists every festival. And these artists come from all over the world. We have definitely all over the United States, from Florida to this year, we were even going to have somebody from Hawaii and all up the East Coast and everywhere in between. All of the states have been represented. And they become like family to us. Even on years when we don't have festivals, I get emails. Is this the year of the festival? Can I come back? So some of these artists are just truly a part of our festival family. We have art, any kind of art you can possibly imagine. Of course, we have tons of Judaica, and it takes the form of wall art and metal and glass and calligraphy and fabric and kalitot and kippot and anything you can possibly imagine. We've even had wood and ceramics, and of course we have jewelry. And it's not just any kind of jewelry, but definitely a lot of Judaic jewelry. And our families come back year after year after year, and they look for some of the artists, and they just want to incorporate Jewish art into their homes so that they can create more of a Jewish atmosphere in their home for their families and their kids. So it's always great.
And we have a lot of Israeli artists that come here also to the festival, and it's good that if we can to support them, especially during this time.
So how can we help the Jewish artists that were supposed to come to the festival or have come in the past? How can we help them when they couldn't be at this year's festival or any of the festivals this summer.
Many of them have sent in images of their work and their emails or their websites. And they're more than happy to take orders over their websites. If any of you still have any of the old booklets from the festival, all that information is listed. And if any of you have any questions and want to purchase art from them, let us know and I'll be happy to get you whatever information I can.
So you've been seeing those images on the feed, and we'll probably relist those artists on the festival website. But I actually remember many years ago when it was difficult for Israeli artists to come from Israel because of issues in Israel, that we made a big effort like this. And this is something we can really do for the community to look for Jewish art online, especially those who come to our festival, to the Greater Chicago Jewish Festival, and support them. So thank you, Paul and Karen. And we have an opportunity now for another wonderful, wonderful moment with the great generosity of David Broza. David, who has been to the festival 3 times before, who we were going to, we would have David hopefully back this year. And so he'll be with us in just a few minutes. We're going to turn now to another set of video of some of the past moments at the festival. Stay tuned for David.
Music at the festival is interactive. You hear it, you dance, you sing. The arts component of it never had that feel. And so this year we decided to create a installation of art done by all kinds of organizations and schools all across the city to put together a public installation of art. And we came up with a pomegranate, which is a wonderful symbol that has its basis in biblical times and today in the modern state of Israel. It's full of seeds, so we talk about an abundance of joy, an abundance of peace. And that's the theme with which all 25 pomegranates were decorated, adorned, and installed on the grounds. And it was great to watch people today walk up to each one, look at it, read it, see what it was about, and interact with art as well as music. That's what the day is about, celebrating an authentic American Jewish identity, and it's all expressed in our pomegranates.
You say I only hear what I want to. You say I talk so all the time, so and I thought what felt was simple, and I thought that I don't belong. And now that I am leaving, now I know that I did something wrong, 'cause I missed you. Yeah, yeah, I missed you. You say I only hear what I want to. I don't listen hard, don't pay attention to the distance that you're running to anyone, anywhere. I don't understand if you really care. I'm only hearing negative, no, no, no bad. So I turn the radio on, I turn the radio on, and this woman was singing my song. Lovers in love and the others run away. Lover is crying as the other won't stay. Some of us have to really weep for the other who was dying since the day they were born. Well, this is not that thing that I'm throwing, but I'm thrown. And I thought I lived forever. Now I'm not so sure. You try to tell me that that won't take me anyhow. Or know that I was wrong, 'cause I missed you. Yeah, I missed you. You said you caught me 'cause you want me, and one day I let me go. You try to give away, keep me 'cause you know you're just so scared to lose. And you say, stay. You say, I only hear what I want to.
I hear the whistle and the bell. Conductor, pull that worn down cord. Forgot my bags, but it's just as well. I think it's time to climb on board. I'm moving through the country, town to town. People wave from open doors. We steam on through, or we slow down just long enough to gather a few more. And though we may derail and we may fail, we will not get off this train. We'll ride right on and greet the dawn, and we will not get off this train. Silver wheels turn and turn and turn, ever forward on the track. But I don't know when, but I finally learned, when you go, you don't go back.
Don't go back.
And though we may derail and we may fail, we will not get off this train.
Not get off this train.
We'll ride right on and greet the dawn, and we will not get off this
That's one of the goals of the festival, is to bring everybody together, because we believe that as a community, their Jewish community and our friends in the general community, young and old, religious, secular, whatever, this is one day at least in this community we can all together come together, have fun and celebrate, and just know that we're all together.
Well, you do a great job, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Avi. Thanks, guys.
Michael Heimlich could not have said it better when we talk about bringing the Jewish community together in the celebration of the festival. And there are many people that understand that, but one of those who does it the best is David Broza. David, you always manage to create community through song and through mutual experience. And you've been with us 3 times. You would have been with us today had the world been different. And regardless, you've responded to joining us in this way, and it's deeply, deeply appreciated. But in these most troubling days that we face across this country, we turn to you also for some sense of focus and dedication to Jewish values. And we really look to hear what you can tell us and what you can share with us musically.
When you wrote the song Yihye Tov, it resonates now more than ever. Did you ever have any idea that this would be such a song, such an anthem?
Well, first of all, it's the first song I wrote. And I had no notion or any plans for a career for my life yet. I was just out of the army, and it's 1977, November, just when President Anwar Sadat of Egypt arrived in Israel for the first time. And it was Jonathan Geffen who wrote the lyrics and gave them to me and demanded that I write music for it because we were doing a show together. I could have never dreamt that this is something that I didn't see myself as a songwriter at the time. So this is my first song, and it hit right on the right tone. And like you say, it still does today. What can I say? I must have sung it 10 or 20,000 times already. Sometimes I sing it twice a day. Depends on my schedules. And especially in these last 88 days that I've been quarantined, suppose that you have all also, and many of the listeners, I've sung that song almost every day on special requests. It brings people some kind of I suppose the music and the lyrics, even less the lyrics now, because I think the music from those who don't speak Hebrew brings them some kind of uplifts their spirit. So I know what it does to me when I sing it, and I don't have any qualms about singing it 4 or 5 times a day. It's a perfect mantra, or it's not a prayer so much as a vision that you through this song. Obviously, I see myself every time I sing it, and I think about the audience. I think about the times. These 88 days have obviously opened up a lot of moments, long moments of retrospect, of introspect, of contemplation, right? For everybody. You're sitting there. All I see is the world, going by me outside my window. But outside my window, there's nothing. There's maybe 4 or 5 people a day. That's about what we get. And I'm seeing now all the trouble outside on the streets. Forget about the vandalism, which I think has nothing to do with the COVID. I mean, that is pure vandalism and barbaric, acts, and certainly is criminal. So that's not the thousands and hundreds, I think, of thousands of Americans, and all the hundreds of thousands of those who are around the world, all the way from Sydney, Australia, London, Paris, Berlin, Tel Aviv, everywhere in the world, supporting the notion of the social justice. But really, everybody's crying out 2 things. I think the way it feels to me is these 80 days since the COVID-19 fear started and brought us all into quarantine has had us pick a lot and collect a lot of energy that has to be spilled out. And the first moment people meet out is through these manifestations and the protests. And some of them pass by my house. So I go to the corner of the street and I get the energy. People are not shoving or pushing. They're just walking, chanting. You feel the energy, which is way beyond. And I've been to many, many manifestations and protests in my life. This is a heartfelt call. And I think that the quality of the protest is way beyond any protest that we've seen in this country and probably in the world, at least my generation, even from the Martin Luther King days. This is really profound. And I think it is because of these 80 days that we all found ourselves alone in our homes, confined either to read or to read into ourselves. So all I can say is, I believe good will come of it, but it can't just be finished with, oh, now the police has managed to bring out the energy out of the protesters and nothing's going to change. It's going to go into the lawmakers, and it's going to go into all the channels that has to in order to improve life of minorities, life of anybody. In our society, I can't sleep well at night, nor can you, nor can anybody, knowing that a problem like this is going on in a neighborhood not far from where I live. So,
and the music really becomes also cathartic and energizes us at the same time to do what we know in our hearts needs to be done. And it's wonderful that you'll share a song with us now that we could really take with us into the weeks ahead that are going to require a lot of hard and committed work.
Well, so you spoke about Yetov. It means that I have to play Yetov for the 3rd time today. I'm happy to. So here it goes. And I look forward to coming to the festival, of course, because I had some great shows in the festival in the past. And I love Chicago, so I don't need any more excuses.
And we know, David, that you've performed all over the world, and you've often said that the Greater Chicago Jewish Festival is the best venue that you've ever been at.
Exactly. It's not a venue. It's a festival.
right?
That's right.
That huge field, yeah. And I've played on many occasions in it. So I hope we get together again, and very soon, and I can perform my set with my band or by myself, whichever way we choose to make it, and I'll come over. And until then, אני מביט מהחלום, זה עושה לי די עצוב. האביב חלף עבר, מי יודע אם ישוב. הליצן היה למלך, הנביא נהיה ליצן, ושכחתי את הדרך. אבל אני עוד כאן, ויהיה טוב, יהיה טוב, כן. לפעמים אני נשמע. אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשאר. ילדים לובשים כנפיים ועפים אל הצבא, ואחרי שנתיים הם חוזרים ללא תשובה. אנשים חיים במתח, מחפשים סיבה לנשום, בין שנאה לרצח מדברים על השלום. ויהיה טוב, יהיה טוב, כן. לפעמים אני נשבע. אז הלילה, הלילה, כך אני נשאר. כן, שם למעלה בשמיים עננים לומדים לעוף, ואני מביט למעלה ורואה מטוס חטוף. ממשלה של טהרנים מחלקת את הנוף לשלהם ולשלנו, ולא רואים בסוף. אוי לבד מצרים, איך שמחתי לקראתו, פירמידות בעיניים ושלום במקטרתו. ואמרנו, היי, בוא נשלימה ונחיה כמו אחים. ואז הוא אמר קדימה, תצאו מהשטחים, ויהיה טוב, בוא יהיה טוב, כן. לפעמים אני נשבע. אז הלילה, הלילה, So I've added many verses over the years with my friend Jonathan Geffen, the poet. I won't sing all of them because that'll bring us through the summer. I won't be done. Anyway, one verse that I'd like to add says, and I'll translate it, that we shall learn to live together under the olive trees. And their children will grow up knowing no more war, no terror, no frontiers, no social injustice. Hopefully no more viruses. And the fresh new grass will grow over the graveyards for love and peace. After 100 years of war, we haven't and will not lose hope. בוא נלמד לחיות ביחד בין חורשות עצי זיתים. ילדים יחיו בגבולות בלי מקלטים, על גברים יפרח העשב לשלום, ואהבה 100 שנים של חרב, עוד לא עבדה התקווה. ויהיה טוב, יהיה טוב, אם אני נשבע. Laila, oh Laila, Kani Sha, Laila, oh Laila, אני מבין מהחלום, אולי מגיע, מגיע יום חדש. יהיה טוב.
Yeah, Tov, indeed. David, you uplift us and you bring tears to our eyes at the same time. You remind us that really the brokenhearted are the ones who are the wholehearted. Those of us who hear your songs and understand the pains and efforts that confront us, we become the wholehearted because of your dreams in music and the urging us to do better. I can't tell you how much we thank you.
I thank
תודה רבה.
you. להתראות very soon.
So as we look to next year with David and many others, we have an opportunity now to talk to someone who's been in many ways the musical compass of the festival. Stuart Rosenberg has been so important in helping us keeping diversity within what's on our stages and helping us find so many different talents and somewhat obscure talents from time to time. Stuart, tell us a little bit about your idea of the festival in terms of the complexities of Jewish music.
Wow, I'm a compass. That's a very magnetic introduction. My feeling is that we are a big community. We are many, many different voices. And oftentimes we can get a little narrow because we hear the voices similar to ours all the time. And it's really worthwhile to consider the incredible diversity of the tribe. This is, to me, one of the things that is so beautiful about the festival, is that it's created a context in which we can experience the entire breadth of Jewish culture and Jewish vibe and Jewish music. And I've been fortunate enough in my career to have been exposed to some incredible musicians who would have escaped notice if it weren't for the fact that I had my ear to the rail. I've been listening for things to come out of the former Soviet Union that we hadn't heard, the Bukharan Jews that we brought in, to hear the Jews from Uganda, the Abba Yudaya who came to perform. The ability to show this incredible contrast between the cultures that we think of as normative Jewish and the breadth of the Jewish world. It's good for everybody. It's fun. It sounds good. It's great to make sure that those people feel like they're in the tent that we've created. And to be able to bring that to the festival has been my great pleasure.
It's appreciated, and it makes the festival over the 40 years the great stopping point that it has been for many, many musicians and performers and dancers and artists. And we appreciate it. So we turn now to perhaps another topic of interest in terms of what makes the festival tick. And that would be talking a little bit about the food at the festival. And we have Patty Ray, who was with the festival from the first years as well. And Patty, we're really interested to talk for a minute about the role of food and the food fair at the festival and what made it important.
He's been touring since the late 70s and has released several critically acclaimed albums, two of which will be available after his performance. Right over there, he's got a children's CD and a live CD, so make sure to stop after his performance. Peter's music is steeped in human emotion and experience, not necessarily meant to make his listeners feel good, just to make them feel. His on-stage improvisational prowess is legendary. One writer called it a kind of musical second city, and he's already exhibited it because he was supposed to perform here solo. It is our very great pleasure to present to you Peter Himmelman.
That was just stone cold. Got the blues out at the Caldwell Woods. Got a falafel that was just stone cold. Yeah, but when I see everybody together as one, Lord, to me that's more precious than solid gold. Try the shawarma, got too much fat. Think I'll carve up a mango, tropical fruits where it's at. Think I have me some potato chips. They is kosher, man, and they's deep fried. Well, this whole down Jewish folk festival is the best darn thing I've ever tried. Let me hear that piano now. Time you get a big crowd of Jews together, there's food flying everywhere, but I see a spirit of oneness. I can feel it in the Chicago air. Caldwell Woods, yeah, where the pine trees grow so high. I might have the blues with the Jews, but today, you know, I'm a happy guy. Bring it up now, everybody party on it. Bring out the violin. That's just a trick. We got the blues. sitting around playing for 30,000 Jews. They's eating falafel. They's eating hummus and tahina too. What do I have over on my left side? A violin playing wah-wah pedal, wiggling Jew. Come on. Break it up now.
Yeah, I tell you, the one thing I like is that you have people here of all different, you've got the ultra right wing, you got the ultra left wing, you got the weirdos in the middle, and I mean, it's just such a variety of people. You rarely see these kind of people gather together in one place.
And everyone can eat here because everything's kosher.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I know, it's great. It's great, and there were at least 7, 8 restaurants and 2 or 3 caterers, and you can even get lemonade.
You know, I think that the key to this is that people from all backgrounds are able to really identify themselves as Jews by coming to an event like that. You know, this festival for the Jewish community is really an all-encompassing thing, because not only do we have things for religious things, but there's a lot of secular. Every synagogue, every little Jewish organization, secular with no religious connection but a cultural Jewish connection, had a booth here today. It really made everyone feel that they were part of this, don't you think?
I agree, and not only that, but they get to learn about each other too, and I like that very much.
I'll make it work. So it's again so refreshing to see someone like Peter Himmelman take the stage at the festival, as he did many times, and when he just put together, as he is known to do, that great rant about the festival in his blues style with Stuart Rosenberg right by his side. Those are memorable moments. It gives us a chance to think about the broader context of the festival and what important parts there are in terms of food and the organization fair, all these things that people come to see, not just because of the music, but because they're going to share in some great food and learn about different organizations throughout the Jewish community. Patty, for a minute, give us an idea that the food fair to me is not just about food. It's a kosher food fair, which we do so that everyone is comfortable there. But the food fair really speaks to more than just, gee, I'm hungry while I'm at the festival. Give us an idea of how that came to be.
So I'm going to start out by saying how great it is to be wearing my festival t-shirt on this beautiful day. Okay, festival t-shirt on this beautiful day. And I want to give a shout out to our dear friend Debbie Silverman, who was watching this at 1:30 in the morning from Jerusalem, and who was the first person to staff the kosher food fair, because I was home pregnant with twins who are going to be 40 in about a month. So the festival food, the kosher food fair, is much more than just the food. It's about expanding our community and celebrating the diversity of our community. And whereas the first festival may have had pizza and falafel, as I'm going to read at the end, I'm going to shout out to some of our amazing kosher vendors who represent the diversity and widest array possible of kosher cuisine. And like the Shores talked about for art, our kosher vendors in this time period are really wanting you to come by and visit them. So I want to just say something about a couple of the innovations. So one that was done by one of our food festival committee members, Ethel Fenig, was our food tent, our demonstration tent. When she came up with that idea, it was way before that every other TV show was a different food show. And our demonstration tent has been one of the highlights of the food fair. And for sure, our superstar of the demonstration tent is Laura Frankel, Chicago's premier kosher chef. And then just at the last festival, a first time ever, a kosher Texas barbecue contest that had the wonderful aromas going through our festival grounds.
We're never afraid, Patty, we're really never afraid to try something new. And you guys have really done it in the food area as well. So we will give a shout out to all of the.
I'm doing the shout out and I'm sending my love and saying what a beautiful day this is at the festival. Okay, Mexican kosher food, tacos gingy, sushi and Asian hamachi, grilled great food, Chicago tailgaters, Argentinian steakhouse, Avita, falafel, we do falafel still, Mizrahi, smoked barbecue, Mills barbecue, shish kebab from Great Chicago, hot dogs, corn dogs, shawarma from Star Caterers, and some of our desserts. There's Highland Pop, and we all especially love Dave Allegretti and his classic good humor ice cream truck. So we send our.
And you forgot our lemonade person.
Oh my gosh.
He's been with us from the beginning.
Okay, Freshly Squeezed has given lemonade for thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of our guests. Okay, Batea Vone, and we should continue to see each other in good times.
Thanks, Patty, and thanks to the whole committee. So Lisa, there's another component of the festival that I think people, when we first started talking about it, didn't get it. And now it's really part of the tapestry of the day. And you've chaired it for many, many, many years. Tell us a little bit about why the organization fair is so important to us.
Just as the festival is the heart and soul of Jewish Chicago, I find the organization fair to be the heart and soul of the festival. It's a giant trade show of over 100 organizations from every kind of walk of life, of every kind of background of Jewish Chicago. And we bring them together for this one day where they share political, religious ideas. As I describe it to the organizations when they ask me what it's about, it's a way for them to get their word out to the community, and for the community at times to give them a little bit of their word. People love stopping by, sharing their ideas, telling the various organizations what they agree with and don't agree with, and also a way of getting more members for the organization. And as I said, it's a trade fair. So people really enjoy walking. We group them as 10 organizations under shared tents in rows, and people walk it like a trade show. And what do you get when you go to a trade show? You pick up little freebies that takes a piece of the festival home with you. So you get a magnet or a Frisbee or a pad of paper, and that name of that Jewish organization stays with you. Take it home with you. So the organization fair, to me, really brings it all together. We've moved it around in different ways over the years. And most recently, it's really the center, it's the focal point, besides the music and the art, but it's the place that brings everyone together to meet and share and exchange ideas.
That's the core of it. Couldn't have been said better. And so we're going to turn back to some music now. This first one is going to be, I believe, Debbie Friedman, and it's a chance for us all to sing along, whether we're sitting inside our house or on our deck or front lawn, enjoying the day.
Sing with us. Actually, sing with me. They're not singing. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the people danced and danced all night long. tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. As Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the people danced and danced all night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice with song, she sang with praise and might. We just went through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the people danced and danced all night. Same thing again, and the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. One more time. People dance and dance all night. Last time. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the people dance and dance all night long. Thank you.
Goes like this. Kozi yavo, koze yavo. Try that. Kozi yavo, koze yavo. Good, just listen. Kozi yavo, zelo chalom. Kozi yavo, zelo chalom. Kozi yavo, koze yavo. Kozi yavo, shalom. Try that. Kozi yavo, koze yavo. Kozi yavo, shalom. And now you can clap your hands with us and show with your bodies what your heart feels. Hobonim chevra chadasha. Honotim garim shalom. Kulanu nigdare achad. Koze yavo, zelo chalom. Sing it with us, everybody. Here we go. Koze yavo, koze yavo. Koze yavo, zelo chalom. Koze yavo, koze yavo. Koze yavo, shalom. And this is a song about peace. Let's sing a prayer about peace. If you know the words to Oseh Shalom, sing it with us. Oseh Shalom Bivroma.
My favorite part of the Folk Arts Festival is probably the Jewish unity that we see here, and how everyone comes together and you can see people you haven't seen for such a long time and you're just connecting. And it's like, it shows that as Jews, it doesn't matter if whatever form of Judaism you are, you support Israel through, and everyone is together supporting Israel.
The Folk Arts Festival is important for two primary reasons. One is that in times like this, when Israel is under fire and Jews are under fire all over the world, it's important to remember that Judaism is basically a positive, fun, creative, and fulfilling religion, and the festival incorporates all those elements. It reminds us of all the good, positive, fun reasons to be a Jew. And the second thing that it does is it reminds us that all Jews really should be united because we have so much in common. We tend to focus on what divides us, but the festival reminds us that what unites us is far more important and far more powerful.
As an organization, do you find this area, the organizational area, important to what you do?
Yeah, the organizational area is very important because it allows us to meet people, to meet all kinds of different Jews, and to just talk and hear from different perspectives. And really, it's the only time you can get a cross section of Jewish viewpoints.
In terms of our support of the State of Israel, how does this Folk Arts Festival, which hopefully unites a community, spill over into our support to Israel?
I think the festival helps people feel more support for Israel because they feel more Jewish in a positive way. It's not that they're guilted into it or help Israel survive, but it's more help Israel thrive. It reminds them of what being Jewish is. It reminds them that if being Jewish makes them feel good, and so it makes them want to do more things for things Jewish, including support Israel.
The unfortunate part about the festival is it's every other year, which we can understand because of what it takes. What could Jews do to bridge that gap between the years?
Yeah, I think it is difficult that the festival is only once every 2 years. I think the way to bridge the gap between festivals is to try to take away the message from it and apply those messages to our everyday lives, to remember that it's fun to be Jewish, to remember that all Jews should feel a closeness to each other, and to take the feelings that we feel this one Sunday and carry it throughout the next 2 years in everything that we do.
If all things go well and we're outdoors next year, nothing could be more exciting than to have this kind of lineup next year. For those who don't know, Noah is really one of those on the cutting edge of composing new music and energizing and continuing the continuum of new music profiles for our liturgy and for other teachings of Judaism. And it's interesting to ask, really, Noah, how you find yourself on that continuum. If we look towards the advent of modern interpretations of important teachings and prayers, how do you see yourself as part of that whole transition?
Well, I really feel like it's entirely in my DNA. Every aspect of who I am is made up of the people whose shoulders I'm standing on. And I'm looking at these videos that we have and all of this music from this festival throughout the years, and I'm realizing that it's all of them that were the reason why I'm able to do what I do. And I'm looking at Rabbi Joe Black, and I saw videos of Debbie Friedman, and all of these people who championed communal singing, championed bringing new, innovative forms of music into the congregational life. I mean, my father was a chazan for many, many years, and so I grew up in a home and in a community that was filled with music. And just as much as my father was a champion of sustaining our traditions, he also was able to bring in so much new. And so I was exposed to people like Debbie Friedman and Safam and Craig Taubman from a very early age. And so when I started to come up, I basically just pieced together all of the things that were part of who I am to, like you said,
So you've sung in so many different environments and led people to connect with music in so many different environments. From what you experienced at the Greater Chicago Jewish Festival and in the context of any outdoor event, how do you find that kind of engagement with audiences different, perhaps, when they come into these types of festivals?
It's really interesting to see what's happening around the country. I really feel like we're in a new stage where there's just so much new music coming out, and there's really a lot of new artists that are being brought into the fold, and so it's really fascinating to see what's going on around the country. For me, while I grew up with the sound of communal singing and being really inspired by the communal voice, I also am inspired by the personal experience And you'll hear a lot of my songs and my expressions are in the first person, asking myself, like, how do I connect with this experience? What am I feeling and experiencing in my body, in my emotional world in this moment? And how can I bring myself to the experience? So you asked earlier about myself and the continuum. I think that's the aspect that I've been able to bring to this.
So then take us there, perhaps. We're ready for you to share with us. And again, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to bring your musical soul and share it with us.
Yeah, I'm really grateful to be here. And so I wanted to share this setting. It's called Let There Be Love. We learn that each night in our liturgy, we can pray the words of Hashkivenu, that when we lie down and when we rise up, that we may be protected by a shelter of peace. Right now, folks are rising up, and we can use these words to pray, that they may be able to express themselves under a shelter of peace. Rabbi Chaim Stern wrote the words, "Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
Okay.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms." And when we juxtapose this text with our Hashkivenu prayer, the Hashkivenu praying to Hashem to create that shelter, the latter showing us that through peace and friendship we can create that shelter ourselves, we learn that we are truly partners in the work of building peace in our world. Hashkivenu ad Hashem Elokeinu, Hashkivenu leshalom, Hashkivenu ad Hashem Elokeinu, Hashkivenu leshalom. Yes, we pray to that creator of peace to show us what that peace can look like, but we have an opportunity, we have an obligation to build that peace. Each and every day we have the tools, building more love and more understanding among us. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu ad Hashem Elokeinu, Hashkivenu leshalom, vehamidenu shomrenu lechaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Hashkivenu ad Hashem Elokeinu, Hashkivenu leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Whoa, let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
That's something incredible and could not be more appropriate for the day that we share together. We just could only look forward to spending a whole day with you a year from now. And thank you for inspiring us as we look into the future. We, I think, have a little clip here that is a video clip that will introduce us to a quick discussion about a different aspect of the festival. And then we're looking forward to hearing live from Rabbi Joe Black.
Jews in Birkenstocks.
Please tell me why the Jewish Folk Arts Festival is important.
And I think the really great thing about the Jewish Folk Arts Festival for the Jewish community is that we all get a chance to kind of schmooze with each other and eat at the same time. There's a larger percentage of schmoozing and eating Jews here than you get per square mile anywhere else in town. It's a beautiful thing.
The best part of this whole thing, besides you.
Yes, the best part of this whole thing is A, to look out upon tons and tons of fellow Jews, and B, to know that if you're late, most of the rest of them will be even later.
Can you speak to our volunteers? This whole thing is done by a volunteer staff.
So I know that an event like this does not happen because of paid staff getting big bucks. It's all people who really, really work hard and really care about the event. And on behalf of those performers like myself and people who are just going to walk around with their kids like myself, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Aaron Friedman was a great part of our festival over the years, a very good friend. And there's so much that he did on stage to raise our sense of consciousness through his humor often. But one thing he mentions there in that clip is a very kind salute to all of the volunteers who make the festival work. And those of you sitting at home listening to this who served as volunteers over the years, whether as a cashier or a person selling pop, we can't thank you enough, because it just doesn't happen without it, and it makes it a family affair. So let's turn quickly and speak to Sally and to Janet to tell us a little bit, Janet Pierce-Ritter and Sally Lipson, to tell us a little bit about how the volunteer aspect of the festival works. How many volunteers do we typically have on the day of the festival?
We estimate about 200 volunteers participate the day of the festival. About 40 of those are the steering committee who work, the present festival and past festivals and the future festivals. But our volunteers join us on their own with a friend or as a friend or family members, as high school and college students, and through organizations and the Boy Scouts of America, the Jewish day schools, or members of Hillel are where we recruit. And it's just amazing every year that it runs very smoothly and everybody's there, even with sometimes hassle of getting into the park, but they're committed and they get there and they're ready to take their job and get their volunteer t-shirt.
There's never a hassle getting to the festival parking. We don't want any negative publicity here.
No.
Sally, tell us a little bit about what some of the responsibilities are and how it kind of creates its own community.
Sure, absolutely, Michael. You're absolutely right that the volunteers are definitely the backbone of the festival. We couldn't do it without them. They help in all areas, from the information booth to the entrances, selling pop and t-shirts, helping at the music stages and the art fair, just really everywhere. And they help anywhere from a couple of hours. Often they want to help all day, but we tell them, no, you have to help. You have to enjoy the festival for a couple hours as well. But in terms,
I think we froze up a bit, but hopefully we all get the sense of it. The volunteers are an important part of what makes that day work. And we really thank Janet and Sally for all the time you guys put in trying to recruit and connect people. So we're going to turn to a little more music now. We're going to turn back to some recording, and then I believe Joe Black will join us.
Thank you very much. One last song for you today. Welcome to all of you, including the animals. And our last song is called Shar Masheh. This is, of course, a very famous Israeli song. And Shar Masheh, of course, is a beautiful place that Israel gave back to Egypt for the sake of peace. And I know you all join me in wishing for peace, especially in Israel. Shar Masheh.
A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. You get the ball, I get some gold. He's on the roof on top of 2 by 4. Build a circus. Everybody's gonna build a circus. Gonna build a circus, gonna live it all week long. You get the chili, I'll get some string. Build our circus, yeah, we'll dance and sing. Build a circus. Everybody gonna build a circus. Gonna build a circus, gonna live it all. Get ready to shake your loot up, guys. Here we go. Shake your loot up to the ground. Up in the air. Shake your loot up in the air. Oh, you know you shake it north, you shake it south, you shake it east, you shake it west. Your God is everywhere. Build a circus. Everybody gonna build a circus. Here we go.
We would like to welcome Rabbi Joe Black, coming to us live from Denver. And Joe, you've been with us from very early on. In fact, if you haven't seen this whole clip, we saw Rabbi Joe before he was Rabbi Joe in a beautiful little green outfit as Tiny Tove. And now it's fun to see you as a over the years as songwriter and singer extraordinaire. So thank you so much. You come every time to the festival, and you really make it special for everyone. How does the festival differ for you from other venues you've been in? What makes it special coming to the festival?
Well, for me, first of all, it's great to see you guys. Thank you for putting this together. It's awesome. Literally and figuratively, coming to the Chicago Jewish Festival is coming home. As you said, I've been part of every single festival from the beginning, from that first year at the JCC at the Horwich Center when it was pouring, and I remember playing for 2 hours sitting on the children's stage. I was hosting it. I hosted a TV show at the time called The Magic Door, and I was dressed in green tights as Tiny Tove. And everyone who runs the festival, people I grew up with, we grew up together. It's my sister's part of the festival, my whole family, all my dear friends, and truly it's coming home. And the ruach of the festival is unlike anything else I've ever been part of anywhere. And it's truly a highlight of my summer every 2 years. And I'm sorry we didn't have it this year. I'm thrilled to be here, and I can't wait till next year. I already got my ticket booked.
Joe, you have a minute, though. I'm going to ask you to turn up your volume on your mic if you can.
Okay, I can do that. Yes.
We're frustrated production
Is that
team.
better?
Yeah.
Is that
much
better? Oh,
Much
good.
better.
Okay. Great.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay.
So, and that really does conceptualize your relationship with the festival, and it means so much to us. Your words and all of the songs you've written over the years really resonate at every level of the Jewish community. You hear them sung at summer camps, you hear them sung in synagogue settings. It's a real salute to how you engage with music as part of your calling as a rabbi.
Well, thank you.
Is there a way sometimes that the melodies and the words come together for you that's unusual, or is it something that seems to be a pattern of how you write and envision music?
Each song is different. Some of them are gifts that come instantly. Others I labor on intensely. I've been working a lot more on lyrics lately than melody, but you know, I really see my music as an extension of my rabbinate. So in the extent that every song is a midrash, every opportunity to perform is an opportunity to teach, and especially when I can play with others. I was watching Noah, and I just wished, because I love playing and singing with Noah Aronson, he's so remarkable. I wish we could have been together, and that's what I miss most about this COVID time, is that we can't play together, and that's what I loved about the festival. Was not just being there, but the opportunities to sit with other musicians like Peter Himmelman and David Broza and Susie and Michael and Mike Weinberg, and of course the Maxwell Street Klezmer band, with whom we recorded a wonderful CD and play together at every festival. It's just a joy. So the music is really a part of my rabbinate.
And so then how better to turn now and give you the stage here, even though it's virtual.
Okay. Thank you.
Share with us.
So I want to sing a song that I wrote with my my colleague at Temple Emmanuel in Denver, Colorado, Steve Brodsky. A few years ago, the Reform movement put out a call for new protest songs. And so they published a few years ago, they published an album called Together is One, and our song was accepted. And it's based on the words of Abraham Joshua Heschel, who marched with Dr. King in Selma on Shabbat morning. And they said, "Doctor, why weren't you in shul?" And he says, "When I marched in Selma, I was praying with my feet." So thank you for inviting me, and Mazel Tov to the festival, and I can't wait till next year. The song is called Praying with Our Feet. Let us gather all together in the cold and in the heat. Make a vow that history's cruel lessons won't repeat. Oh, we will not stand idly by, watch our values die. When we heed the call for justice, we are praying with our feet. Hear our footsteps on the pavement, let them echo in the street. Feel the longing in our hearts growing stronger with each beat. It's time to take a stand. We're marching hand in hand. When we heed the call for justice, we are praying with our feet. From the California coast to Selma's cruel concrete, from the towers of New York City to the fields of Kansas wheat, wherever people are divided by justice that's one-sided. When our voices rise in protest, we are praying with our feet. Hear our footsteps on the pavement, let them echo in the street. Feel the longing in our hearts growing stronger with each beat. Oh, it's time to take a stand. We're marching hand in hand. When our voices rise in protest, we are praying with our feet. The poor, the tired, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The homeless and the helpless, renegades and refugees. Soldiers coming home to their loved ones, oh so sweet. They all march side by side when they're praying with their feet. In the classroom, in the courtroom, the executive suite. The healing of our world awaits. Our task is incomplete. Oh, our work we may not finish, but our passion won't diminish. When we work for freedom's promise, we are praying with our feet. And hear our footsteps on the pavement, let them echo in the street. Feel the longing in our hearts growing stronger with each beat. Oh, it's time to take a stand. We're marching hand in hand. When we work for freedom's promise, we are praying with our feet. Hear our footsteps on the pavement, let them echo in the street. Feel the longing in our hearts growing stronger with each beat. Yes, it's time to take a stand. We're marching hand in hand. When we work for freedom's promise, we are praying with our feet. And when our voices rise in protest, we are praying with our feet. And when we heed the call for justice, we are praying with our feet.
Wow, Joe, thank you. That is something that we'll carry with us into the week and the weeks ahead as we do the work that needs to be done. I have to say, I think of my dad, who was very deeply involved in the civil rights movement in all places around this country in the 60s and 70s. And I have to say, I think he would be both shocked and disheartened to see that we have to return to these same words and challenges. And this should be the last time we have to sing that song with you, that we really can attack the injustice that surrounds us. We really appreciate both your words and your being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a year. Better times.
I'll be there.
Great. Thank you. So folks, we're gonna turn back to some video clips and stay really well seated for this one, because we've got Shuli Natan in this run, and of course, Maxwell Street Klezmer Band, and many other great moments. Sit back, settle in, and watch for a few minutes some of the great moments of past festivals.
What do you think about the Jewish Folk Arts Festival?
The Jewish Folk Arts Festival is an awesome way, I think, to incorporate all different aspects of the Jewish culture. There's art, there's food, there's stuff for the kids, for adults. It's something for everyone.
Do you think that this has made you feel more part of the community? What has inspired you about the Folk Arts Festival?
Absolutely. I feel like everyone here has something in common, and that makes everyone feel part of like a big family.
My name is Stephanie, and I'm from Skokie.
And tell me, what is it about the Jewish Folk Arts Festival that you like?
The thing I like about the Jewish Folk Arts Festival is that you can find out about all different kinds of things related to being Jewish. I checked out the matchmakers myself, being 34 and single.
Hey Chicago, we are so disappointed not to be able to be there with you in person, but we're looking forward to making it happen next year with a festival that's even better than ever. Thanks in advance for having us there and for having us in your homes today. Stay strong, stay safe, and we'll see you in 2021.
Greetings from the Israeli Consulate to the Greater Chicago Jewish Festival. Deep appreciation for your love for Israel and for the continuity for Jewish identity even during COVID-19 times.
And we would like to special thank to Michael and Susie Lorge and the steering committee of the festival. Thank you for all what you are doing. It's fabulous and we can't wait to celebrate with you this year virtually due to the coronavirus and hopefully next year in Jerusalem.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
So we just saw at the end of that run of clips a wonderful performance by Maxwell Street Klezmer Band and the Junior Band that have been on our stage for probably almost the entirety of the history of the festival. And the one who really makes so much of klezmer music in Chicago approachable and vibrant is Lori Lipitz. And Lori, we just want to take a minute to kind of put a little context into the idea of klezmer music in the Chicago area. As I recall, when we started in 1980, the idea of klezmer music was not really in place in Chicago. Give us a little sense of how it grew and where it came from and where it is today.
Sure. When we started off the klezmer revival, of course, that would have been in the late 1970s, but that was mainly on both coasts. It was in California with the Klezmorim in Berkeley, and it was on the East Coast with groups there that were starting the revival, but it really wasn't in the Midwest. So there were several of us who really wanted to see it revived here, especially because Jewish culture tends to be sometimes a little more diluted in the Midwest, a little more assimilated. We thought we need that. Once I heard it, and I don't know about you, I heard klezmer music for the first time on the Midnight Special on WFMT. Probably that's where Rabbi Joe heard it too. So I heard that, I thought, gosh, this is Jewish music. We've got to do this. And that's what inspired me to get it started.
Well, it's meant a lot to the Chicago community, and it resonates beyond. And it's a contagious music. I think you refer to it as the people's music.
It's very accessible. You know, it came from Hasidism. It came from the Nigunim. It came from those, the celebration of religion as a spiritual, joyous, danceable inner spark. And of course, if you're playing it, that's what flows out of the music. It doesn't matter if you are a professional group or if you're an amateur or grassroots, it doesn't matter because that spark is there, that Yiddishkeit.
And we know it every time we hear you with either your main band or the junior band, and a heartfelt thank you for you to keep those essences of Jewish music alive here in Chicago. We'll see you for sure next year on the stage. And now we're going to take a moment to turn back. We're going to turn back now to 3 performances from past festivals of recent years, actually 2018. And we're really excited to share these again. Stick with us. We're coming towards the end of the program and a very special moment after these 3 clips. Thanks, everybody. Stay with us.
Get out of this mess. He took a look at me before he cast a spell, shook his head and then began to yell, you got a bad case of love, you got a bad case of love, got a bad case of love, your heart is full of misery. I said, doctor, do something for me. I feel like a man going through the 3rd degree. I can't laugh or pain, I can't eat a bite. Since she's been gone, nothing ever goes right. I got a bad case of love. I got a bad case of love. Got a bad case of love. My heart is full of misery. Doctor said, son, I know just how you feel. You love a little girl and you always will. But your wind is short and your pulse is weak. And it won't be long before you're 6 feet deep. You got a bad case
southwest coast of Lake Michigan, where the skyscraper's swaying and the pigeons are playing on the roof again. I'm selling ice cream bars and may take hours to get rich again. On the streets, on the sidewalks of the southwest coast of Lake Michigan. Stay with you, baby, on the southwest coast of Lake Michigan. And I ain't gonna leave you alone unless I get the itch again. Because I'm so happy just looking out the window with you, my friend. Watching the cops chase the robbers up the southwest coast of Lake Michigan. Well, the waves are splashing and the dead fish are flashing on the lake again. And the wind is shifting and the smog is drifting in on Chicagoland. And I've been sitting here thinking, am I gonna have to be here to the very end? Waiting for the palm trees to grow on the southwest coast of Lake Michigan.
So here's some interesting trivia for those of you who have been watching all the way through with us. One of the first performances was Peter Yarrow, and playing harmonica with him in that set in 1981 was Howard Levy. And here we are in this last cut with Corky Siegel, and there is Howard Levy performing again. That was just last summer. So it is a reflection of the musical family that comes to the festival. We also want to give a shout out to Listen Up that was in that last set. They have been with us also nearly from the beginning and bring great energy to the festival. So I also need, as we start to wind up, we're getting into a little over 2.5 hours. We're going to start to finish up, but we need to give a big thank you to David Azulai and his team, Lital and all in LA, who have helped us produce this today. And they mean a lot to us now. And I know we'll be sharing other programs and projects with them in the future.
And Rob Sepulveda.
And then, of course, I was going to say, Susie reminds me to add everyone who worked on the video editing and production, Rob Sepulveda, Judy Good, who put in enormous hours with me and Naomi Bear in finding, hopefully, the right cuts that make you all enjoy this virtual festival. Virtual Fest, all the best. So we thought long and hard about how do we end this festival, this experience, when we still are mindful of the world around us. And what's going to come for the ending, you're going to love and enjoy. It's a recast of a flash mob that just has tremendous energy. But before we go to that, we want to turn back and reflect on what our situations and our hearts call out for. And there is perhaps no better way than, again, to turn to Debbie Friedman's music. And we think of her Misha Berach, which is
her prayer for healing, spiritual healing and physical healing. And she put it, people around the world sing this in their services, in their tefillot.
This particular piece that we're going to play now, and we'll say, Susie and I will say goodbye at this point. You'll stay and hear it all. We're sure you're going to be singing along with this. It is a very poignant moment. It reflects a concert, a tribute concert that her friends and those of us also who were part of the festival community came together in the week after her passing and sang her melodies and turned to the healing songs. And so we share with you this community rendition of Debbie's most beautiful song of healing. We know it will mean something to all of you as you share it with us. And we thank you all for your support of the festival and your love of the festival.
And so as we wish to heal in these very difficult times, whether of body or of spirit, we send our love and we look forward to seeing you, God willing, in person next year at our festival.
In a better place.
In a better time.
And with the same good weather.
And don't forget to donate to the festival. We're all volunteers, and every year we look to donors to help us to produce the festival. So thank you so much for being with us.
So we're going to turn now to those healing songs, the songs that are tonight for us. Debbie touched so many people through her songs of healing. And the best is that she left them as a gift for us to use tonight and to get through these days.
יברכך השם בציון ורעבתו ירושלים יברכך השם בציון כל ימי חייך